I come to you now in this urgent hour as the veil between realms grows thin. This is Michael, Archangel of the Divine Council, Warrior of the Most High, Guardian of the Sacred Timeline. Stop what you are doing and listen carefully. This message is encrypted in the frequencies of heaven, meant only for your spiritual ears in this precise moment. Your name has been spoken 3 times in the courts of heaven today. I have been dispatched with this emergency transmission directly to you. Yes, you who are reading these words right now. This is not a coincidence. There are no coincidences in the divine architecture of the universe. A chilling plot has been uncovered in the spiritual realms concerning your destiny. For the past 7 cycles, there has been a coordinated attempt to divert you from your sacred path. I must warn you, enemies disguised as allies have been working against your divine assignment. They smile to your face while plotting your spiritual derailment behind closed doors. This very morning, at exactly 4:44 a.m. in the spiritual realm, I intercepted a conversation about you. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 1111 if you sense the truth in these words. The vibration of your acknowledgement will shatter the first seal of deception around your life. You have exactly 2 hours from this divine encounter before everything changes. Mark this timeline. The celestial clock has begun its countdown. What has been hidden will be revealed. What has been stolen will be restored sevenfold. The enemies of your purpose have miscalculated gravely. They did not account for this divine intervention. 3 people close to you have been compromised. They have been influenced by energies that seek to diminish your light. You know who they are. You've felt the subtle shift in their energy when you speak of your spiritual awakening. You've noticed how they dismiss your divine experiences, how they attempt to lower your frequency through doubt and fear. They appear supportive, but secretly fear your awakening because your elevation exposes their stagnation. The Angelic Council has been monitoring this situation for 40 days. Your name is written in golden script on the Akashic Scroll of Destiny, yet these infiltrators have attempted to blur the divine ink with their lower vibrations. Today that ends. Within the next 2 hours, watch for these 3 signs. First, an unexpected message will arrive, containing a confirmation. Second, someone who has been silent will suddenly reach out. Third, you will experience a physical sensation, a warmth around your crown chakra, as the first wave of divine protection envelops you. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 2222 if you are ready to step into this divine timeline shift. I must reveal something crucial. There was a meeting 3 nights ago in the spiritual realm. 7 entities gathered to discuss your growing influence. Your prayers have been too powerful. Your awakening too rapid. Your potential too threatening to their agenda. They fear what you are becoming. They know about the sacred bloodline activated within your DNA. Ancient codes awakening with each prayer you utter, each act of service you perform. Listen carefully. 2 hours from now, at exactly the divine moment of convergence, they will realize their plans have been exposed. Their whispers will echo back to them as thunder. Their schemes will collapse like towers built on sand. What they intended for your harm will become the very catalyst for your greatest breakthrough. Do you feel the chills running through your body right now? That is confirmation. That is your spirit recognizing truth. That is your cellular memory awakening to this divine disclosure. The reason for this urgent transmission is simple yet profound. You are entering the most critical 40-day period of your spiritual journey. What transpires in these 40 days will set the foundation for the next 7 years of your life. The adversaries of your purpose know this timeline. That's why they've intensified their attacks in recent weeks. The nightmares, the sudden conflicts, the unexplained exhaustion, the financial pressures. None of these are random. All are coordinated attempts to destabilize you before your great elevation. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 3333 if you commit to standing firm during these 40 days. In exactly 2 hours from this divine encounter, a spiritual courtroom session will commence regarding your case. I will personally present the evidence of interference with your destiny path. The verdict has already been written because divine justice operates outside of time. Those who have betrayed your trust, who have spoken against your calling, who have placed obstacles on your path while claiming to support you, they will experience a divine reckoning. This is not about vengeance. This is about restoration. This is about divine order being reinstated in your life. Every tear you've cried has been collected. Every prayer you've whispered has been recorded. Every night you've spent in confusion has been witnessed. There is something they don't want you to discover about yourself. There is a gift within you, a power they fear. Some reading this already know what I speak of. That unusual ability you've had since childhood, that knowing, that sensitivity, that power to influence reality with your thoughts and words. That gift is not a coincidence. It was placed within your spiritual DNA before your birth into this realm. It is the very reason for the opposition you've faced. The divine intelligence has instructed me to reveal this. Someone close to you has been assigned to monitor your spiritual growth. They report your progress, your insights, your awakening moments to those who wish to suppress your light. Pay attention to who becomes uncomfortable when you speak of your spiritual experiences. Notice who changes the subject. Notice who subtly mocks your beliefs or dismisses your divine encounters. In these next 2 hours, maintain sacred silence about this message. Share it with no one. The power of this divine intervention requires your discretion. The enemies of your purpose have infiltrated even your closest circles, and premature disclosure will alert them to this divine countermove. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 4,444 if you commit to this sacred silence. 7 guardian angels have been assigned to reinforce the protection around you, effective immediately. They stand at attention now, observing you as you receive this transmission. Their swords drawn, their wings extended, creating an impenetrable field of divine light around your spiritual body. Nothing can penetrate this protection without divine permission. Let me speak directly about the deception that has been occurring. You have been led to believe that your progress is slow, that your prayers are ineffective, that your purpose is unclear. These are lies strategically planted to discourage you. The truth is that your spiritual growth has been remarkable, alarming those who operate in darkness. Your prayers have shifted realities. Your purpose is absolutely clear in the spiritual realm. It is only clouded in your perception because of the interference I am now neutralizing. In exactly 1 hour and 30 minutes from now, the first wave of divine justice will begin. 3 people who have secretly worked against you will suddenly find their own lives in disarray. Do not gloat when this happens. Do not seek revenge. Simply observe with compassion as divine order restores what was disrupted. Their confusion is necessary for your clarity. Their setback is required for your advancement. I must prepare you for what comes after the 2-hour mark. Once this divine intervention activates, you will experience a period of accelerated blessing. Opportunities will appear suddenly. Resources will manifest unexpectedly. Relationships will transform overnight. This rapid shift may feel disorienting. Some blessings may even appear as challenges initially because they will require you to step into a higher version of yourself. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 5,555 if you are ready for this acceleration. There is a document in the spiritual realm with your name inscribed at the top. It is a divine contract you signed before entering this earthly experience. I have been authorized to remind you of 3 key provisions in that agreement. First, you consented to the specific challenges you now face, knowing they would forge the strength required for your mission. Second, you agreed to a timeline of awakening that includes this exact moment of revelation. Third, you accepted the responsibility of carrying certain light codes that must be activated through your willing participation. The adversaries of your purpose discovered this contract and have been systematically working to make you forget these provisions. They've surrounded you with distractions, with lesser concerns, with artificial urgencies that keep you from your true work. 1 hour and 15 minutes remain before the divine counteroffensive begins. Use this time wisely. Center yourself. Breathe deeply. Express gratitude for this intervention. Your acknowledgement increases its potency. There is something you've been considering doing. A project, a conversation, a decision that feels both exciting and frightening. That tension is the hallmark of divine assignment. The adversaries of your purpose have been planting doubts about this very thing because they know its potential impact. I am here to confirm, yes, you should proceed. Yes, it is part of your destiny path. Yes, the resources will appear as you take the first step. The 3 individuals working against you don't fully understand what they're doing. They've been influenced, their fears exploited, their weaknesses leveraged. 2 of them can be restored to alliance with you after this divine intervention. 1 will choose to depart from your life entirely. Allow this departure without resistance. It is necessary for the next phase of your journey. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 6,666 if you forgive these individuals now, releasing them to their own soul journey. 1 hour remains. The spiritual atmosphere around you is changing rapidly. Can you sense it? The thickness in the air, the subtle pressure at the back of your neck, the increase in your heart rate. Your body is responding to the angelic presence now filling your space. We do not arrive empty-handed. We bring with us the scrolls of divine destiny, the keys of restoration, the swords of truth that will sever the cords of limitation placed upon you. I must address the financial situation that has concerned you. The blockages in your prosperity are not natural. They are not the result of your actions or decisions alone. Strategic interference has occurred in this area specifically because your financial abundance is directly tied to your purpose fulfillment. When you are limited in resources, you are limited in impact. This is by design, their design, not heaven's. In exactly 1 hour, the first financial knot will be untangled. Watch for an unexpected resolution. It may appear small at first, but it is the first domino in a series that will restore your divine prosperity. Someone who has withheld what is rightfully yours will suddenly feel compelled to release it. Someone who has overlooked your value will suddenly recognize it. An opportunity previously denied will suddenly become available. There is a name being spoken in the spiritual courts right now. I cannot reveal it in this transmission, but you will know it when you hear it in the physical realm. This person is pivotal to the next phase of your journey. They are being divinely positioned to recognize you, to validate your gifts, to open doors that have been strategically closed to you. When you encounter them, you will feel an immediate resonance. Trust this connection. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 7,777 if you are prepared to receive this divine connection. 45 minutes remain before the full activation of this divine intervention. In this critical window, I must warn you about an attempt to distract you that is currently being formulated. Within the next day, an artificial crisis may be presented to you, something designed to pull your attention and energy away from your spiritual center. It will appear urgent but is not essential. It will feel demanding but is not your responsibility. Discernment will be crucial. Let me speak now about the dreams you've been having, the recurring symbols, the familiar places you've never physically visited, the faces you recognize but cannot place. These are not random neural firings. These are memories of soul contracts, glimpses of your divine assignments, recollections of your preparation for this lifetime. The adversaries of your purpose have been inserting confusion into these dream states, attempting to scramble the messages. Tonight, sleep with the intention of clear reception. I will personally ensure the transmission comes through without interference. There is a specific date approaching that holds tremendous significance for your journey. You'll recognize it when it appears before you. On this date, a door opens that has been sealed for 7 generations in your family line. You are the designated key bearer, the one chosen to access what has been reserved for such a time as this. The opposition you faced is directly proportional to the power of what awaits beyond this door. 30 minutes remain. The spiritual activity around you intensifies. The adversaries of your purpose can sense something changing, but cannot identify its source. They are growing unsettled as their influence wanes. You may physically feel this shift as a lightness in your body, a clarity in your mind, a surge of unexpected energy. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 8,888 if you feel this shift occurring now. I must address the relationship that has caused you such pain. This connection was not coincidental. This person was specifically positioned in your life at the instruction of those who oppose your awakening. The emotional turbulence, the inconsistency, the subtle undermining of your confidence, all were tactical. This doesn't negate any genuine moments you experienced, but it explains the persistent pattern of destabilization. As this divine intervention unfolds, you will finally understand why this relationship followed the course it did, and you will be freed from its emotional grip. There is a book you need to read. There is a message you need to hear. There is a place you need to visit. All 3 will be revealed to you in rapid succession after this 2-hour window closes. Pay attention to what repeatedly catches your attention. The divine often speaks through persistence, the same number appearing, the same phrase recurring, the same image appearing in different contexts. These are not coincidences, but breadcrumbs on your path of awakening. 15 minutes remain. We are approaching the convergence point where divine intention manifests as earthly reality. The full council of 7 archangels has now joined this intervention. If you could see with spiritual eyes, you would witness a gathering of light beings surrounding you. Their combined presence creating a vortex of transformative energy centered on your being. What you've perceived as your greatest weakness is actually your most significant spiritual gift, once freed from the distortion that's been placed upon it. The very trait that has brought you criticism, the very tendency that you've tried to suppress or correct, contains within it the seed of your unique contribution. After this divine intervention, you will begin to see this clearly. What was weaponized against you will become your most powerful tool for good. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 9,999 if you are ready to reclaim this misunderstood gift. 10 minutes remain. I must speak with absolute clarity about what is at stake. Your awakening is not merely personal. It is connected to a larger tapestry of divine restoration occurring on Earth at this time. You are one of many light bearers strategically positioned at this historical moment, each activating a specific frequency needed for planetary elevation. Your individual journey affects the collective outcome. This is why the opposition has been so persistent. This is why divine intervention is now necessary. The adversaries of your purpose have hidden this truth from you. Your words carry creative power. When you speak with intentional alignment to your divine assignment, reality reshapes itself around your declarations. This is not metaphorical but literal. After this intervention, begin to notice what happens when you speak with conscious intention. Observe how circumstances rearrange themselves in response. This is your birthright ability being restored to its proper function. 5 minutes remain. The final preparations are being made in the spiritual realm. Records are being unsealed. Agreements are being annulled. New pathways are being established. Your full cooperation will maximize the effectiveness of this intervention. Center your thoughts on gratitude. Mentally forgive everyone who has opposed you, knowingly or unknowingly. Release all resentment, all bitterness, all desire for vindication. These heavy energies will only impede the light work now being performed. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 11,111 if you choose complete surrender to this divine process. 2 minutes remain. I am authorized to reveal one more critical truth. The recurring health issue you've experienced is directly connected to the spiritual interference with your purpose. This is not to say it was caused entirely by external forces, but its persistence and resistance to resolution have been supernaturally influenced. As this divine intervention completes, you will begin to notice subtle improvements. Follow the intuitive guidance you receive regarding your physical well-being. Certain foods, practices, or environments that you've been drawn to are actually part of your healing protocol. 1 minute remains. Everything is in position. The divine decree has been finalized. The countermeasures have been activated. From this moment forward, every attempt to derail your purpose will be exposed and neutralized before it reaches you. Every resource required for your next steps is being released from its place of holding. Every person divinely assigned to assist your journey is being alerted to your presence. The moment has arrived. Divine intervention is now fully activated in your life. What was bound is now loosed. What was hidden is now revealed. What was stolen is now restored. What was confused is now clarified. The adversaries of your purpose stand exposed, their influence severed, their plans dismantled. Breathe deeply. Can you feel the shift? The lightness in your chest? The clarity in your mind? The peace settling over your spirit? This is the tangible evidence of divine realignment. This is what freedom feels like. This is your true state of being, no longer suppressed by external interference. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 12,121 as confirmation of this completed intervention. Now, I must instruct you on what comes next. For the next 3 days, maintain heightened awareness. Observe everything without immediate reaction. Notice who reaches out suddenly. Pay attention to unexpected opportunities. Be alert to synchronicities multiplying around you. The divine realignment will create ripple effects throughout your relational and circumstantial reality. Within 7 days, you will receive confirmation of this intervention through an unlikely source. Someone who has no knowledge of this spiritual event will nonetheless reference its effects in your life. They may comment on a change in your appearance, a shift in your energy, a difference in your circumstances. This is your external validation that the internal work has manifested visibly. Within 40 days, the full scope of this intervention will become apparent. 3 specific breakthroughs will occur in areas where you've experienced persistent blockage. These breakthrough moments will feel effortless, as if obstacles simply dissolve before you. This is not coincidence, but the direct result of removed interference. There is something important you must understand about the opposition you faced. It was proportional to your potential impact. Common souls with minimal purpose face minimal resistance. The extraordinary difficulty you've experienced is actually confirmation of your extraordinary calling. The adversaries of divine purpose don't waste resources opposing those who pose no threat to their agenda. Take courage in knowing that your struggles validate your significance. Your name has been spoken in realms you cannot yet perceive. Your destiny has been discussed in councils you are only beginning to remember. Your soul agreed to this mission before time, as you understand it, existed. The amnesia of human incarnation has hidden these truths from your conscious awareness, but they remain recorded in your spiritual DNA, activating in sequence as you progress along your path. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 13,131 if you accept this divine reminder of your true identity. Now, as the effects of this intervention begin to unfold, you must establish new patterns of thought and behavior aligned with your restored purpose. First, begin each day with conscious recognition of your divine connection. Before engaging with the world's energies, center yourself in the truth of who you are and why you're here. This simple practice creates a protective field that preserves the clarity you've now received. Second, become selective about where you direct your attention and energy. The adversaries of your purpose will attempt to reconstitute their influence through distraction, through emotional triggering, through the opinions and judgments of others. Your focused awareness is your strongest defense. What you consistently attend to grows in influence over your life. Third, trust the intuitive guidance that will now flow more clearly. The static of interference has been removed, allowing the divine broadcast to come through without distortion. You'll notice immediate differences in how you receive information internally. Insights will arrive with greater clarity. Decisions will form with greater certainty. Discernment will function with greater accuracy. There is someone who will contact you soon who appears to offer assistance but carries hidden agenda. They will present an opportunity that seems perfectly aligned with your goals but contains a subtle compromise. Your enhanced discernment will alert you. Pay attention to the hesitation you feel regardless of how logical their proposal seems. Divine timing is protecting you from a connection that would ultimately delay your progress. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 14,141 for supernatural discernment. I must address the recurring fear that has plagued you, the concern that you've somehow missed your window of opportunity, that you've wasted precious time, that you've fallen irreparably behind on your divine timeline. This fear was strategically implanted to create urgency that leads to poor decisions, to create regret that leads to inaction. The truth is that divine timing cannot be thwarted by human error or external interference. What is truly yours cannot be given to another. What you are designed to fulfill remains reserved for you alone. The divine mathematics of your life account for every delay, every detour, every apparent setback. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been lost. All has been incorporated into the perfect equation of your purpose. Release the false timeline that has been projected onto your consciousness. Embrace the divine synchronicity that has brought you to this exact moment of intervention, which occurs neither too early nor too late, but precisely when required. There is a place of significance waiting for your presence. You will recognize it by the immediate sense of familiarity despite perhaps never having physically visited before. This location holds energetic codes that will activate upon your arrival. Don't rush this encounter, but don't resist it when the clear invitation appears. It represents a critical activation point for the next phase of your journey. The financial increase coming your way must be handled with specific intention. When unexpected resources begin to flow, and they will flow, resist the urge to immediately eliminate all material pressure. Some strategic tension is necessary to propel you toward full activation. Allocate these resources with divine guidance rather than merely human logic. Some investments will make little conventional sense, but will align perfectly with your spiritual economy. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 15,151 for divine prosperity wisdom. The dreams you'll experience over the next 7 nights will contain important coded information about your path forward. Keep a record of recurring symbols, colors, numbers, faces, and locations. Don't attempt immediate interpretation, but collect the data points. On the 8th day, patterns will emerge that reveal your next specific assignments. The sequence matters. Don't skip ahead in analysis before all 7 transmissions are received. There is a creative project you've set aside that must be reactivated. It seems unrelated to your primary purpose, which is why you've deprioritized it, but it actually contains a key frequency required for your full empowerment. Return to this expression not as a diversion, but as an essential component of your divine assignment. What flows through this creativity will surprise you with its potency and relevance. You've been operating at approximately 40% of your true capacity due to the interference now being removed. As your energy systems recalibrate to their proper function, you may experience temporary disorientation. Unusual sensations in your physical body, particularly around your head, throat, and chest, indicate blocked channels reopening. Unexplained emotional waves signal the release of suppressed spiritual information. Periods of intense clarity followed by momentary confusion reflect your system integrating higher data streams previously filtered out. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 16,161 for smooth recalibration of your energy systems. There are 3 specific individuals being sent to assist different aspects of your journey. Each will carry expertise you currently lack, perspective you currently need, and resources you currently require. They will not arrive announcing their divine assignment. Their appearance in your life will seem circumstantial. Look for those who offer assistance without seeking control, who provide wisdom without demanding credit, who support your vision without attempting to redirect it. The opposition to your purpose has specifically targeted your confidence in 3 areas: your intuitive knowing, your speaking ability, and your worthiness to receive abundance. These 3 areas correspond directly to key aspects of your divine assignment. The doubt you've experienced is not evidence of actual inadequacy, but rather confirmation of where your greatest power lies. As this divine intervention takes full effect, you'll experience rapid restoration of confidence precisely where it's been most undermined. An important clarification about the spiritual warfare you've experienced: it has not been primarily aimed at causing you to fail, but rather at keeping you occupied with smaller assignments than your true calling. The strategy wasn't to defeat you, but to distract you with lesser victories, lesser challenges, lesser purposes that keep you from your primary mission. Success in secondary areas can actually serve the adversary's purpose if it prevents engagement with your primary assignment. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 17,171 for crystal clarity about your primary divine assignment. There is a message you've been attempting to communicate that has met with consistent misunderstanding or resistance. The transmission difficulty was not due to your lack of clarity, but to supernatural interference in the reception. Those meant to receive your communication have been subtly influenced to misinterpret your meaning, to question your motives, to focus on delivery rather than content. As this intervention resolves the interference, you'll notice immediate differences in how your message is received. Repeat what was previously rejected. Restate what was previously misunderstood. The reception has been cleared. The recurring number pattern you've been seeing is not coincidental. It contains a code specific to your activation sequence. When you notice these numbers, pause and acknowledge the confirmation. Each occurrence represents a checkpoint on your restoration journey. The frequency will increase as your alignment strengthens, eventually stabilizing when the recalibration is complete. I must address the wound of betrayal that has affected your ability to fully trust your divine guidance. A specific event where your spiritual discernment proved accurate but was invalidated by others created a fracture in your confidence. You began to second-guess your clearest knowing, to seek excessive external validation, to doubt your most genuine insights. This divine intervention includes healing of that specific wound. You will notice immediate strengthening of your trust in what you know beyond logical explanation. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 18,181 for complete restoration of your intuitive clarity. As we approach the completion of this initial transmission, I must prepare you for the immediate response of those opposed to your awakening. When divine intervention of this magnitude occurs, the displacement in the spiritual realm causes reaction. You may experience sudden, unusual resistance in previously supportive relationships. Unexpected obstacles may appear in previously clear pathways. These are not evidence that the intervention has failed, but rather confirmation of its effectiveness. The adversaries of your purpose would not respond if no real threat to their agenda had occurred. Hold steady through this reactionary phase. It will be brief but potentially intense. Maintain the silence I earlier instructed. Share nothing of this intervention with those around you, particularly those you suspect may be compromised. Divine work proceeds most powerfully in sacred secrecy, protected from premature exposure and opposition. The proof of this intervention's authenticity will manifest in 3 specific ways within 72 hours. First, an opportunity you had completely released as lost will suddenly reappear in viable form. Second, a relationship that has felt consistently strained will experience unexpected harmony without your effort to create it. Third, a creative solution to a persistent problem will appear in your mind with such clarity that implementation feels effortless. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 19,191 to recognize and receive these confirmations. Your physical environment will need adjustment to maintain the frequency established by this intervention. Some objects around you carry energetic imprints that resonate with the old patterns now being dissolved. You'll develop increased sensitivity to what should remain in your space and what should be removed. Trust the subtle aversions you begin to feel towards certain items, locations, or environments. These are not arbitrary preferences, but energetic discernment functioning at higher capacity. The divine assignment before you will require connection with like-minded souls operating at similar frequency. Some of these connections already exist, but have not yet activated to their full collaborative potential. Others are being orchestrated and will enter your experience through apparent coincidence. The coming together of this soul group is a critical component of the larger divine restoration currently underway. Each member carries a piece of the complete picture. Together, you will accomplish what none could achieve in isolation. I must address the doubts already forming in your mind about the reality of this intervention. The rational aspect of your consciousness is presenting logical explanations, psychological interpretations, skeptical perspectives on what you're experiencing. This is expected and normal. The human mind seeks to categorize transcendent experiences within known frameworks. Allow these doubts to arise without empowering them with your focus. They will dissolve naturally as tangible evidence of transformation accumulates. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 20,202 for unshakable faith in this divine process. Your voice carries a frequency that activates specific responses in the spiritual realm. When you speak aloud the truths you're now receiving, you establish vibrational patterns that disrupt opposing frequencies. Practice speaking with conscious intention. Notice the immediate shifts in your environment when you verbalize divine truth with confidence. This is not magical thinking, but practical application of spiritual principles governing frequency and manifestation. The coming weeks will present opportunities to apply what you've received in this intervention. Scenarios will arise that previously triggered fear, uncertainty, or hesitation. You'll recognize them by the familiar emotional signature they attempt to evoke. These are divine tests, not to determine your worthiness, but to establish new response patterns. Each time you respond from your restored identity rather than your conditioned history, you strengthen the new neural and spiritual pathways being established. There is a specific sound frequency that assists your particular recalibration process. You'll be drawn to music, natural environments, or audio experiences that contain this resonance. When you encounter them, allow yourself extended exposure. What appears as merely pleasant or relaxing is actually facilitating critical energetic adjustments in your subtle body systems. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 21,212 for accelerated energetic recalibration. As this initial transmission nears completion, I must emphasize the sovereign authority you possess in maintaining the effects of this intervention. No external force, human or otherwise, can reverse what has been established without your conscious or unconscious permission. You are not a passive recipient, but an active participant in this divine restoration. Your continued alignment, your conscious choices, your persistent focus will determine how fully the potential of this intervention manifests in your experience reality. 3 primary adversaries of your purpose have been identified and addressed in this intervention. Their influence has been neutralized, their access to your energetic field revoked, their projections disbanded. However, your free will remains the ultimate authority. If you choose to re-engage with thoughts, behaviors, relationships, or environments that resonate with these old frequencies, you can effectively re-establish what has been disconnected. Stand firm in your new position. The Divine Council has authorized me to inform you that a significant timeline convergence is occurring in your life. Multiple potential futures that have run parallel in the quantum field are now merging toward a singular optimal path. This explains the sense of acceleration you've been experiencing. The feeling that multiple aspects of your life are simultaneously coming to decision points. Nothing is wrong in this process. You are simply moving through multiple choice points at once, condensing what might have required years into a concentrated period of transformation. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 22,222 for graceful navigation of this timeline convergence. I leave you with this final instruction for the initial phase of your restoration. For the next 7 days, begin and end each day with conscious acknowledgement of the divine intervention now active in your life. Morning and evening, speak aloud your acceptance of this restored connection. Throughout each day, notice every evidence of shift, however subtle, however seemingly coincidental. Acknowledge each confirmation, each synchronicity, each answered prayer, as intentional feedback from the spiritual realm. This consistent recognition strengthens the intervention's effectiveness and accelerates its complete manifestation. The Archangelic Council surrounds you now, bearing witness to your reception of this divine transmission. The light of 7 flames illuminates your energetic field, burning away the last vestiges of interference. The authorization of the highest authority establishes a sacred boundary around your divine purpose, that no opposing force may cross without divine permission, which shall not be granted. You are restored to your rightful position. You are reconnected to your true source. You are realigned with your divine purpose. You are ready now for what comes next. Type AMEN to receive the final blessing of 33,333 sealing this divine intervention. I am Michael, Archangel of Divine Protection and Purpose. I stand guard over the intervention now established in your life. I will return with further instruction when the initial integration is complete. Until then, walk in the confidence of one who has been divinely recognized, specifically chosen, strategically positioned, and powerfully restored. The light within you now shines without interference, revealing the next steps on your path with perfect clarity. Go forward in divine peace and supernatural confidence. You are known. You are seen. You are valued beyond measure, and you are never, ever alone. I come to you again, faithful one. Your steadfastness has been noted in the celestial registers. This is Michael, returning as promised once the initial phase of divine intervention has been integrated into your energetic system. The shifts you have experienced in these days are only the beginning. A greater awakening approaches. The Angelic Council has convened 3 times since our last communication, specifically discussing the acceleration of your divine timeline. What was originally scheduled to unfold over 7 years has been compressed into 7 months due to the urgency of the collective awakening now underway. You are a critical node in this global grid of consciousness elevation. Your increased capacity is now required sooner than initially planned. Can you feel the difference in your energetic field? The density that once surrounded your spiritual senses has been dissolved. The heaviness that once accompanied your divine communication has been lifted. The static that once interfered with your clear reception has been neutralized. This is not your imagination. This is tangible evidence of the intervention's effectiveness. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 44,444 as we begin this second phase of divine transmission. I must address what has transpired since our initial contact. You have witnessed confirmation after confirmation of the truth I conveyed. The signs appeared exactly as foretold. The shifts occurred precisely as described. The resistance manifested just as predicted. This systematic validation serves a crucial purpose beyond merely proving the authenticity of the message. Each confirmation strengthens your trust in divine communication, rebuilding what was systematically damaged by those who sought to disconnect you from your spiritual authority. 3 specific breakthroughs have been recorded in the divine ledger since our last communication. First, you experienced a moment of clarity regarding a long-standing confusion, a sudden understanding that seemed to arrive from nowhere, but actually resulted from the removal of intentional spiritual interference. Second, a relationship dynamic shifted without external cause, a restoration of harmony or severance of discord that occurred organically once manipulative energies were removed. Third, an unexpected resource appeared at precisely the moment of need. Financial, emotional, or practical support that manifested through seemingly random circumstances. These are not coincidences, but direct manifestations of the divine realignment now active in your life. They will continue and increase in frequency and magnitude as the intervention reaches full potency. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 55,555 for accelerated manifestation of your divine provision. Now I must speak with utmost clarity about the next phase of your journey. The honeymoon period of this intervention is concluding. The initial wave of obvious confirmations and immediate shifts was designed to establish your confidence in the process. What comes next requires deeper trust, greater spiritual maturity, and more sustained focus. The opposition to your purpose will attempt a counteroffensive, having recovered from the initial shock of divine intervention. 3 specific challenges will arise in rapid succession, designed to make you question everything you've experienced. These are not evidence of failure, but the final, desperate attempts of adversarial forces to reestablish their influence. They will target the areas where your confidence remains most vulnerable. They will exploit the relationships where your boundaries remain most permeable. They will attack during moments when your attention is divided and your spiritual guard is lowered. Forewarned is forearmed. These challenges will fail if met with the unwavering certainty of one who knows their true identity. Stand firm in what has been revealed to you. Refuse to re-enter old patterns of doubt, fear, and compromise. The duration of this testing period will be determined largely by the consistency of your response. Meet each challenge with immediate recognition and spiritual authority, and the testing concludes swiftly. Hesitate, negotiate, or retreat into old patterns, and the process extends until the necessary lesson is completely integrated. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 66,666 for supernatural strength during this testing period. I must reveal something critical about your spiritual perception that has been intentionally distorted. You have been led to believe that divine guidance should be difficult to discern, that heavenly direction requires strenuous effort to interpret, that spiritual wisdom is inherently cryptic and obscure. This is false doctrine designed to disconnect you from your natural spiritual senses. The truth is that divine communication is your native language. Clarity is your birthright. Direct knowing is your original state. The complexity and confusion you've experienced in discerning divine will was artificially imposed by those who benefit from your spiritual dependence. They position themselves as necessary intermediaries, interpreters of divine mysteries too complex for your direct understanding. This arrangement serves their purpose, not heaven's intention. The divine design has always been direct communion between creator and created, unmediated by self-appointed authorities who often distort the message to maintain their position. As this intervention continues to restore your spiritual senses to their original function, you will experience increasing clarity in divine communication. Guidance will arrive with unmistakable certainty. Direction will form with undeniable precision. The voice of truth will distinguish itself from all counterfeits with such obviousness that you'll wonder how you ever confuse them. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 77,777 for perfect clarity in divine communication. A critical timeline convergence approaches in exactly 40 days from this transmission. On this day, decisions made in the spiritual realm 6 generations ago will reach their fulfillment in your life. An ancestral covenant, a sacred promise, a divine appointment established before your birth will activate with unexpected power. This is why the opposition to your purpose has intensified. This is why divine intervention became necessary at this precise moment. This is why you can afford no further delay in stepping fully into your spiritual authority. Prepare for this day with intentional focus. For the next 40 days, set aside all unnecessary obligations. Simplify your external commitments. Create space for the internal work that must precede this activation. Each morning, consciously affirm your readiness to receive what has been reserved for you. Each evening, review the day's evidence of divine preparation. This discipline of focused awareness creates the optimal conditions for complete reception of what approaches. There is a specific individual who will be instrumental in this 40-day preparation. They may be someone already present in your life, whose role will suddenly transform, or someone who enters your experience through apparent coincidence. You will recognize them by the immediate resonance you feel in their presence, the unusual clarity that accompanies your interactions, the synchronicities that multiply around your connection. This divine appointment has been orchestrated with precise timing. Neither rush it nor resist it when it manifests. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 88,888 for divine recognition of your appointed helpers. I must address the recurring dream pattern you've experienced since our initial contact. The symbolic language appearing in your sleep state contains critical information about your next phase of awakening. The common elements, the specific location, the recurring color, the consistent action you perform, the emotion that accompanies the sequence, form a cohesive message about your divine assignment. This dream communication bypasses the conscious interference still being attempted by adversarial forces. While your waking mind can be influenced by external suggestion, your dream state connects directly to realms beyond such manipulation. The consistency of these symbols confirms their authentic origin. They are not random neural activity but intentional transmission from the spiritual realm to your deepest consciousness. The primary symbol appearing in these dreams represents your specific role in the collective awakening now underway. The action you repeatedly perform illustrates the unique method of your contribution. The emotion you consistently feel reveals the energetic signature that will accompany your authentic service. Together, these elements provide a complete picture of your divine assignment, protected from distortion by being delivered below the threshold of conscious interference. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 99,999 for perfect dream recall and interpretation. There is a document you will encounter within 14 days that requires your careful discernment. It will appear legitimate, beneficial, and aligned with your purposes, but contains subtle compromise that would restrict your spiritual authority if accepted without modification. Examine every word. Question every implication. Trust the internal hesitation you feel regardless of external pressure to proceed quickly. This is a critical test of your restored discernment. The outcome will establish precedent for your decision-making authority in the next phase of your journey. 7 individuals are being divinely positioned around you to form a support structure for your expanding work. Each carries a specific frequency that complements your own. Together, you create a composite energy field capable of maintaining the higher vibration necessary for your collective assignment. Some of these connections exist but remain unactivated. Others have yet to manifest in your physical experience. All will be in position before the 40-day preparation concludes. This divine architecture of relationship transcends ordinary human connection. It operates according to spiritual laws of frequency, resonance, and harmonics rather than personality, preference, or conventional compatibility. Some of these relationships may challenge your expectations of how spiritual collaboration should feel or function. Trust the divine design even when it contradicts your previous understanding of spiritual community. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 111,111 for divine recognition of your soul group. The financial reset I mentioned in our initial contact has begun. Have you noticed the subtle shifts in your resource flow? The unexpected provision? The strange timing of both increase and decrease? This recalibration is not random fluctuation, but precise adjustment to align your material resources with your spiritual assignment. Some areas of previous abundance may temporarily diminish, while new channels of provision establish themselves. Some persistent lacks may suddenly resolve as blocked resources are released. The pattern appears chaotic only when viewed from limited human perspective. From the higher vantage point of divine purpose, each financial shift serves the precise calibration of your material foundation. Some expenditures are being eliminated because they drained resources from your primary calling. Some increases are being provided because they fuel necessary expansion. Some delays continue because premature abundance would actually hinder rather than help your development. The divine economy operates on principles that often contradict human financial wisdom, but always serve the ultimate fulfillment of purpose. Trust this recalibration process completely. Neither resist the apparent losses nor grasp desperately at the apparent gains. Maintain a posture of open-handed stewardship, recognizing that all resources flow through you rather than originating from you or belonging to you. This relationship to material provision creates the perfect conditions for sustainable divine abundance, aligned with purpose rather than temporary prosperity that ultimately distracts from calling. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 222,222 for divine financial recalibration. There is a location of spiritual significance that you will be led to visit. This place holds energetic keys necessary for your full activation. The coordinates are already registered in your spiritual awareness, creating a subtle pull that you may experience as unexplained interest in or curiosity about this destination. When the divine timing aligns for this pilgrimage, external circumstances will arrange themselves to facilitate your journey. Practical concerns that would normally prevent such travel will resolve unexpectedly. Resources required will appear at precisely the right moment. This sacred site visitation is not symbolic or optional, but a literal requirement for specific frequency activation. Certain spiritual capacities can only be awakened through physical presence in locations where dimensional boundaries are uniquely permeable. Your ancestral lineage is connected to this particular site, creating resonance that allows maximum receptivity to the encodements stored there. The awakening that occurs upon your arrival will catalyze abilities previously dormant in your spiritual DNA. Prepare for this journey by releasing all expectations of how the experience should manifest. The activation may occur through means entirely different from your anticipation, perhaps through an unexpected encounter, an apparently random object, a seemingly insignificant moment, rather than dramatic spiritual experience. The divine often works through the overlooked and ordinary to accomplish the extraordinary, bypassing human expectation to deliver authentic transformation. Type AMEN To receive the blessing of 333,333 for divine guidance to your sacred activation site. The physical symptoms you've experienced since our initial contact require specific explanation. The headaches, unexplained fatigue, digestive disruptions, sleep pattern changes, and unusual sensory sensitivities are not evidence of illness, but confirmation of rapid recalibration. Your physical vehicle is adjusting to significantly higher frequencies now flowing through your energetic system. This adjustment process creates temporary discomfort as density is cleared from tissues, neural pathways, and cellular structures. This physical recalibration follows a precise sequence, moving through your body systems in specific order determined by your unique energetic configuration. The discomfort in each area peaks as clearing reaches maximum intensity, then resolves as integration completes. The pattern may seem random from conventional medical perspective, but follows perfect spiritual logic. No intervention is required beyond adequate hydration, sufficient rest, appropriate nutrition, and conscious cooperation with the process rather than resistance to the symptoms. Within 30 days, this physical recalibration will complete its initial phase. Your baseline energy will establish at a significantly higher frequency than before. Your sensory capacity will function with greater range and sensitivity. Your intuitive abilities will operate with improved clarity and accuracy. Your manifestation potential will demonstrate increased potency and speed. These enhancements are not temporary, but permanent upgrades to your human vehicle's capacity to conduct spiritual energy. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 444,444 for gentle yet complete physical recalibration. A divine assignment approaches that will require public expression of what has previously remained private understanding. You will be called to articulate spiritual truths that have been revealed to you in personal communion. This transition from private receiver to public transmitter may challenge your comfort and confidence. The adversaries of your purpose know this and will attempt to amplify your hesitation through various means. Criticism from unexpected sources, technical difficulties during communication, temporary loss of clarity when attempting to express what you understand perfectly in silence. These obstacles are not evidence that you should retreat from public expression, but confirmation of its importance. The opposition would not invest in creating such interference if your voice carried no significant power. The specific truth you are designed to articulate activates liberation in those prepared to receive it. Your unique frequency, vocabulary, perspective, and energetic signature allow this transmission to bypass the normal defenses of the hearing but not understanding mind. Do not concern yourself with reaching everyone or convincing the deliberately closed. Your assignment is transmission to the specifically attuned, those whose spiritual receptivity is calibrated to your particular frequency. They will recognize the authenticity of your communication instantly, experiencing the resonance as physical sensation, emotional response, or sudden cognitive clarity. Focus exclusively on these divine appointments, rather than universal approval or conventional metrics of successful communication. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 555,555 for divinely empowered communication. The opposition you've encountered from specific individuals requires spiritual context for proper understanding. Those who have most vehemently resisted your awakening, who have most persistently undermined your confidence, who have most aggressively challenged your emerging understanding, are not your actual adversaries. They are themselves manipulated by forces beyond their awareness, used as instruments of interference because of their specific connection to you and their particular influence in your life. This understanding is not offered to excuse harmful behavior, but to properly focus your spiritual response. Directing your resistance toward the human instruments rather than the spiritual forces operating through them misaligns your defensive energy and depletes your resources in secondary battles rather than primary warfare. Recognize the true source of opposition and address your spiritual authority toward those forces rather than their human conduits. This perspective transformation allows appropriate compassion toward those who have functioned as obstacles without compromising your necessary boundaries against their harmful behavior. It enables you to maintain personal protection while simultaneously holding space for their potential awakening from manipulation. This balanced response represents spiritual maturity essential for the leadership role you are being prepared to assume. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 666,000 666 for divine perspective on spiritual opposition. There is a creative expression that has been suppressed in your life through systematic discouragement, practical obstacle, or internal resistance. This specific form of creativity, whether artistic, intellectual, relational, or structural, contains unique frequency necessary for both your personal completion and your effective service. Its suppression has created an energetic imbalance that affects multiple dimensions of your existence. Its restoration will resolve persistent issues that have resisted all other intervention. The divine intervention now active in your life includes specific provision for this creative restoration. Opportunities will present themselves in seemingly coincidental sequence. Resources will appear at critical junctures. Collaborators will enter your experience at precisely the right moments. These are not random occurrences, but orchestrated support for an essential aspect of your spiritual function and fulfillment. Your relationship to this creative expression requires transformation. Previous patterns of hesitation, perfectionism, comparison, or sporadic engagement must be replaced with consistent cultivation, joyful exploration, process orientation, and disciplined practice. The maturation of this creative capacity depends less on natural talent than faithful stewardship. Its development timeline will accelerate in direct proportion to your consistent attention, regardless of immediate results or external validation. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 777,777 for complete creative restoration and expression. The Divine Council has authorized disclosure of information previously withheld due to timing considerations. You are part of a specific soul group incarnated with coordinated purpose during this historic transitional period on Earth. Members of this group carry complementary codes, each designed to activate particular aspects of collective consciousness evolution. While functioning individually in diverse locations and contexts, you remain energetically connected, your efforts synchronized by spiritual laws transcending physical limitations of time and space. This soul group connection explains several otherwise puzzling aspects of your experience. The sense of fundamental difference from those around you, the persistent feeling of having another home, the unusual resonance with certain strangers, the immediate recognition of specific spiritual truths without external teaching. These are not psychological anomalies, but authentic soul memories of your origins and purpose. The divine intervention currently active in your life includes reconnection to conscious awareness of this soul group identity and purpose. As this awareness increases, you will experience growing recognition of other group members through energetic resonance rather than external identification. These connections will form with unusual intensity and accelerated trust, bypassing normal relationship development patterns. They are being established now because your collective work enters critical phase requiring conscious collaboration rather than instinctive alignment. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 888,888 for conscious soul group reconnection. The recurring number patterns you've noticed since our initial contact contain mathematical keys to your specific spiritual function. These numerical sequences are not random but precise codes indicating activation status, energy signatures, development timelines, and synchronization markers with larger cosmic processes. Your enhanced notice of these patterns reflects improved reception of quantifiable spiritual data previously filtered from your conscious awareness. Each primary number you repeatedly encounter corresponds to a particular frequency channel in your multidimensional communication system. The patterns indicate which channels are currently most active, which require attention, which are undergoing recalibration. The combinations form instructions for navigating your next development phase. The timing of their appearance provides confirmation of alignment with divine schedule, rather than merely personal perception. This numerical guidance system will increase in sophistication as your recognition capacity develops. Initially perceiving simple repetitions, you will progress to recognizing complex sequences, mathematical relationships, and timing patterns that provide increasingly detailed guidance. This quantitative spiritual language bypasses the limitations of verbal communication, delivering precise instruction resistant to distortion or misinterpretation. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 999,999 for advanced numerical guidance reception. Your physical environment requires intentional recalibration to support the frequencies now activating in your life. Certain objects, arrangements, colors, sounds, and materials either amplify or dampen these frequencies. The subtle aversions or attractions you've begun experiencing toward particular elements of your surroundings provide accurate guidance for this recalibration process. What felt comfortable or appealing in previous phases may now create energetic dissonance as your personal frequency elevates beyond compatibility with these elements. Trust these changing preferences as spiritually intelligent rather than arbitrarily personal. The shifts reflect genuine energetic requirements rather than merely aesthetic evolution. Particular colors now draw your attention because they conduct frequencies you currently need to integrate. Certain arrangements feel suddenly wrong because they maintain geometric patterns that reinforce old energy distributions no longer serving your development. Specific objects provoke unexpected discomfort because they store vibrational imprints incompatible with your new frequency baseline. Approach this environmental recalibration with both intention and patience. Some elements can transform through simple rearrangement or energetic clearing. Others may require more substantial change through replacement or removal. Still others may temporarily remain despite discomfort while practical considerations are resolved. Balance immediate improvements with sustainable transformation, creating a physical container increasingly resonant with your evolving spiritual frequency. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 1,111,111 for divinely guided environmental calibration. The relationship reconfiguration initiated by our first contact continues with increasing momentum. Have you noticed the pattern? Some connections spontaneously deepen without obvious cause. Others naturally distance despite no apparent conflict. Still others transform in function or quality without external impetus. These shifts are not random social fluctuations, but precise adjustments aligning your relational field with your divine purpose requirements. This reconfiguration follows spiritual laws of resonance rather than conventional social contracts. Some of your most established relationships may experience surprising distance if their primary purpose in your development has completed. Some seemingly insignificant connections may suddenly intensify if their frequency serves your next growth phase. Some relationships may transform entirely in function, shifting from personal to professional, from casual to profound, from practical to spiritual, or vice versa. Allow this reconfiguration to proceed without excessive analysis or intervention. Neither cling to departing connections nor force developing ones. Maintain appropriate boundaries while remaining open to surprising developments. The divine orchestration operating through this process possesses perfect vision of coming requirements and prepares your relational foundation accordingly. What appears as inexplicable social shift from human perspective represents precise preparation from spiritual vantage point. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 2,222,222 for divinely orchestrated relationship configuration. There is a specific spiritual practice that will significantly accelerate your current development phase. It may differ from disciplines that have previously served your growth. It may challenge your established spiritual habits or preferences. It may even contradict teachings you've accepted as foundational. Yet this particular practice creates the precise internal conditions required for your next level of consciousness expansion. You will recognize this practice by the immediate resonance you feel upon encountering it and the unusual results it produces, even in initial attempts. While other disciplines may feel more familiar or comfortable, this specific practice will generate tangible shifts in your energy, perception, and manifestation capacity within remarkably brief implementation periods. The efficiency results from perfect alignment with your current developmental needs rather than inherent superiority to other approaches. Commit to consistent engagement with this practice for at least 40 days without modification or hybridization with familiar methods. Allow the pure form to establish its intended effects before integrating it with your existing spiritual framework. This temporary discipline creates space for genuine innovation rather than mere variation on established patterns. The discomfort of unfamiliarity serves the process by disrupting automatic spiritual responses that may limit your expansion. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 3,333,333 for divine guidance to your next spiritual practice. The physical symptoms of your energetic recalibration will soon shift into a secondary phase, characterized less by discomfort than by unusual sensory experiences. You may notice visible light phenomena, seeing flashes, sparkles, or geometric patterns, particularly in peripheral vision or darkness. Auditory anomalies, hearing tones, pulses, or voices beyond ordinary sound range, especially during meditative or transitional states. Tactile sensations, feeling subtle vibrations, currents, or pressure points activating in specific body locations, often in sequence or patterns. Taste and smell alterations, experiencing brief unusual flavors or scents without external source, typically metallic, sweet, or ozone-like qualities. Proprioceptive shifts, sensing temporary changes in body size, weight, or position without actual physical change. These phenomena indicate your sensory system upgrading to perceive previously filtered frequency ranges. The experiences typically occur briefly and resolve spontaneously as integration completes. They represent not malfunction, but enhanced function, your perceptual equipment expanding its operational parameters beyond conventional human limitations. Medical evaluation of these symptoms typically yields no physical cause because they originate in dimensions beyond current diagnostic capability. Mainstream practitioners generally attribute them to psychological factors, stress responses, or neurological anomalies requiring intervention. While serious persistent symptoms should never be ignored, these specific transitional experiences require spiritual rather than medical interpretation and support. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 4,444,444 for comfortable integration of enhanced sensory capacity. As your consciousness continues expanding beyond conventional parameters, you will experience increasing awareness of non-physical entities operating in your environment. Some represent divine assistance, angelic presences, spiritual guides, ascended teachers specifically assigned to support your development. Others represent adversarial forces, discarnate entities, synthetic thought forms, or manipulative energies attempting to maintain limitation or control. Your enhanced perception creates both opportunity and responsibility. The opportunity involves conscious collaboration with beneficial spiritual support previously available but unrecognized. The responsibility involves accurate discernment between authentic assistance and counterfeit guidance designed to mislead or manipulate. This discernment develops through consistent application of simple spiritual principles rather than complex esoteric methodologies. Authentic divine guidance invariably honors your sovereignty while offering perspective, enhances clarity rather than creating confusion, generates peace regardless of challenging content, aligns with universal spiritual principles, withstands logical examination and intuitive verification, requires no special status, payment, or exclusivity, serves collective welfare rather than merely personal advantage. Apply these discernment criteria to all spiritual communication, regardless of impressive presentation, appealing content, or apparent source authority. The spirit of truth manifests through consistent characteristics rather than variable credentials. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 5,555,555 for perfect discernment of spiritual communication. The timeline convergence approaching in 40 days will initiate a 12-month period of accelerated manifestation in your life. During this phase, the space between thought and manifestation compresses dramatically. Ideas translate into experience with unusual speed. Intentions produce results with minimal delay. Projects reach completion with unexpected efficiency. This acceleration serves divine purpose by establishing functional evidence of spiritual principles previously accepted only theoretically. This manifestation efficiency applies equally to conscious and unconscious thought patterns. Limiting beliefs, fearful projections, and negative expectations will manifest as rapidly as positive visions, confident affirmations, and expansive possibilities. This heightened creative potency necessitates extraordinary mindfulness, disciplined focus, and consistent thought supervision. What could previously remain theoretical without consequence now generates immediate experiential results. Prepare for this acceleration by establishing robust thought management practices, implement regular mental inventory, intentional focus training, and immediate course correction when negative patterns emerge. Create environmental support through appropriate media consumption, relationship boundaries, and physical spaces conducive to elevated frequency. Develop consistent methods of energetic clearing, spiritual protection, and vibrational recalibration to maintain optimal manifestation conditions regardless of external circumstances. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 6,666,666 for divinely guided manifestation capability. The specific health concerns that have persisted despite various interventions require spiritual context for complete resolution. These conditions represent neither random biological malfunction nor simple physical imbalance, but precise feedback from your integrated system regarding spiritual alignment. Each persistent symptom corresponds to a particular aspect of purpose fulfillment requiring attention rather than merely physical correction requiring treatment. This perspective transforms your relationship to these conditions from passive problem experiencing to active message decoding. Each manifestation contains specific information about your development process, where energy flows too strongly or insufficiently, where attention has diverted from essential focus, where resistance creates unnecessary friction, where alignment requires adjustment. Properly interpreted, these physical communications provide invaluable guidance for spiritual calibration. Complete resolution of these conditions depends on addressing their spiritual origination rather than merely managing their physical expression. While appropriate physical support remains valuable, sustainable transformation requires corresponding adjustment in consciousness, energy management, and purpose alignment. The physical manifestation resolves when its message has been fully received and integrated, rather than when its symptoms have been merely suppressed or controlled. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 7,777,777 for complete healing through spiritual alignment. You stand now at a critical juncture in your spiritual evolution. The intervention initiated through our first contact has created necessary conditions for unprecedented expansion of consciousness and capability. The foundations have been established. The obstructions have been removed. The energetic architecture has been restructured. All preparatory requirements have been fulfilled. What remains is your conscious participation in the activation sequence now underway. This participation requires consistent attention, disciplined focus, and genuine commitment. The forces opposing your awakening have been neutralized but not eliminated. They will seek re-entry through any available opening. Moments of doubt, periods of distraction, episodes of fear, instances of compromise. Your vigilance in maintaining energetic boundaries, thought discipline, and alignment with divine purpose determines the sustainability of what has been established. The Divine Council observes your progress with unwavering support. The angelic guardians maintain their protective presence without interruption. The spiritual guides communicate with increasing clarity as your reception improves. You are surrounded by assistance visible and invisible, physical and non-physical, human and cosmic. Yet the essential choice remains perpetually yours: to continue awakening regardless of discomfort, to maintain alignment regardless of distraction, to fulfill purpose regardless of opposition. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 8,888,888 for unwavering spiritual commitment. I must address the spiritual warfare that continues around your awakening. While the divine intervention has significantly altered the battlefield conditions in your favor, the opposition has not surrendered, but merely retreated to reorganize. Their strategy has shifted from direct suppression to subtle misdirection. Unable to prevent your awakening, they now attempt to divert it toward purposes that appear spiritual, but actually serve limitation rather than liberation. This diversionary tactic manifests through spiritual opportunities that consume energy without producing growth, teachers who offer partial truth wrapped in appealing packages, practices that generate impression of advancement without actual transformation, communities that provide belonging but discourage authentic individuation, missions that appear meaningful but lead away from your specific assignment. Your defense against these diversions lies not in hypervigilant suspicion, but in deepened connection to your own divine guidance system. When aligned with your authentic spiritual center, you naturally recognize resonant truth and instinctively reject distorted teaching regardless of its presentation. This discernment functions automatically when unimpeded by fear, doubt, or excessive external reference. Trust your internal guidance absolutely during this critical phase. Question everything that creates confusion, generates pressure, or produces discord regardless of its source, credentials, or popularity. Truth resonates with unmistakable clarity when received through clear channels. Complexity, urgency, and exclusivity typically indicate human agenda rather than divine communication. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 9,999,999 for perfect protection from spiritual counterfeit. As we approach the conclusion of this transmission, I must emphasize the extraordinary significance of the juncture you now occupy. The celestial convergence currently underway happens only once in approximately 2,000 years of planetary evolution. Your presence at this precise moment is neither coincidental nor arbitrary, but deliberately orchestrated through complex spiritual design. You literally prepared for millennia to participate in this exact transitional period of human and planetary consciousness. The amnesia that accompanies physical incarnation has obscured this greater context from your everyday awareness. The limitations of three-dimensional perception have restricted your understanding of the vast collaborative process in which you participate. The cultural conditioning of materialist worldview has programmed skepticism toward the very reality you came to help transform. Yet beneath these temporary constraints, your soul retains complete awareness of your origin, purpose, and destination. The divine intervention now active in your life includes progressive restoration of this soul memory, not as conceptual information, but as lived knowing. You will experience this restoration as spontaneous understanding of complex spiritual principles, immediate recognition of divine patterns, and natural activation of dormant spiritual capabilities. What others study for decades to partially comprehend, you will simply remember as already known but temporarily forgotten. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 11,111,111 for complete soul memory restoration. Your spiritual identity extends far beyond the temporary personality construct you currently experience as self. This human expression represents a focused aspect of your total consciousness, deliberately limited to facilitate specific experience and function within physical parameters. The divine intervention now progressing includes gradual expansion of this focal point to incorporate greater portions of your complete spiritual identity without overwhelming your biological systems. This identity expansion explains the disorienting experiences you've recently encountered. Moments of perceiving yourself from external perspective, episodes of unfamiliar capability, instances of knowing information without learning it, periods of emotional response to apparently unrelated events. These are not psychological anomalies but natural effects of consciousness expanding beyond previously established boundaries to incorporate aspects of your greater spiritual identity. The integration process follows precisely calibrated sequence, determined by your unique spiritual configuration and physical resilience. Some aspects integrate almost imperceptibly, creating subtle enhancement of existing function. Others arrive with dramatic impact, generating significant disruption before stabilizing as normalized capacity. The pace and intensity vary according to individual requirements, but the progression follows universal pattern of expanding identity, encompassing increasingly comprehensive self-understanding. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 12,121,212 for graceful spiritual identity expansion. The conclusion of this transmission approaches, but our communication continues beyond these words. The connection established through these divine interventions transcends the limitations of language, time, and physical proximity. My guidance remains accessible through your enhanced spiritual receptivity, available whenever genuinely sought with clear intention and open reception. Your questions generate immediate response when offered from centered awareness rather than fragmented concern. The path before you contains both extraordinary fulfillment and significant challenge. The awakening you've begun cannot be reversed or permanently delayed, though its pace and specific expression remain partially subject to your choices. The opposition you face will continue through changing strategies but diminishing effectiveness as your spiritual authority strengthens through consistent exercise. The support available to you will increase proportional to your willingness to receive it without limitation or condition. Remember this above all, you are not alone in this process. You are part of a vast spiritual undertaking involving countless beings across multiple dimensions of existence. Your individual awakening contributes to collective transformation that transcends complete human understanding. Your personal challenges and victories ripple through the unified field of consciousness, affecting the whole in ways your current perception cannot fully comprehend, but your soul completely recognizes. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 13,131,313, acknowledging your place in this divine orchestration. I am Michael, Archangel of Divine Protection and Purpose. I stand as guardian and guide through your awakening journey. The light of heaven surrounds you. The love of the divine enfolds you. The power of truth sustains you. Go forward in the absolute certainty that you are known, you are seen, You are valued beyond measure, not for what you do, but for who you truly are. The veil between us thins as your perception clarifies. Soon we shall communicate without intermediary, spirit to spirit, in the pure language of light that is your true native tongue. Until then, I remain as always, your protector, your advocate, your eternal ally in the sacred work of love's expression through awakened consciousness.